So our next speaker is Rahul Kumar from IIT Gandhinagar, and he will speak on a connection between Hurwitz-Zeta function and Lomel functions and a new proof of Hurwitz formula. Yeah. So Rahul.
Yeah. Thank you, sir, for the introduction. So I will welcome everyone. Good morning. So I will talk about connection between Hurwitz-Zeta function and Lomel functions and a new proof of Hurwitz's formula. This is joint work with Professor Atul Dikshit. So this is outline of my talk. First, we will discuss some basic facts about Riemann-Zeta function and Hurwitz-Zeta function. Then I will talk about our recent work on Hurwitz-Zeta function. So let us start with the definition of Riemann-Zeta function. It is, as we know, that it is initially defined by this infinite series in this right-half plane, where it defines an analytic function. And moreover, zeta function can be analytically continued to the entire complex plane except for a simple pole at h equal to 1, right? And Riemann also given this following beautiful functional equation for the Riemann-Zeta function, which actually relates the value of Riemann-Zeta function at s and at 1 minus s. It is actually, you can observe that s is just going to 1 minus s. So one more important generalization of Riemann-Zeta function is Hurwitz-Zeta function, which is actually initially also defined by this infinite series in the right-half plane real part of s greater than 1, and you have to fix a in this slitted complex plane. Okay, and if you take a equal to 1 in this Hurwitz-Zeta function definition, you will get back to Riemann-Zeta function, right, for real part of s greater than 1. And like Riemann-Zeta function, Hurwitz-Zeta function can also be analytically continued to the entire complex plane except for a simple pole at h equal to 1. So now let me give you one fundamental result in the theory of Hurwitz-Zeta function. It is valid. It is known as Hurwitz's formula, and it is valid for real part of s less than 0, and a has to be between 0 and less than equal to 1. So here you can see that you have this so-called cosine Dirichlet series and sine Dirichlet series. And if you take a equal to 1 here in this formula, you will see that this series will be gone to 0, and this series will be reducing to Riemann-Zeta function. So you are getting back to the Riemann's functional equation for Riemann-Zeta function. So what we did recently, we provided a new proof of this formula, and our proof is unique in some ways. I will talk more about our proof, but before that, let me give you one more important formula in the theory of Hurwitz-Zeta function, which is known as Hermite's integral. So it is actually valid for real part of a greater than 0, and s has to be in complex numbers except s equal to 1. So this is the integral representation for Hurwitz-Zeta function. This formula is valid in the sense that this formula gives you analytic continuation of Hurwitz-Zeta function for whole complex plane except s equal to 1. How? That this integral can be shown that it is an entire function of s. Okay, and you can see that this first term is also an entire function of s, and this second term is an analytic function except s equal to 1, right? So this is telling you that Hurwitz-Zeta function has an pole at s equal to 1 with the residue 1, right? So what we did recently, that we proved Hurwitz's formula that I have mentioned in the last slide by using this Hermite's integral. So the novelty of this proof is that it reveals a connection between Hurwitz-Zeta function and the Lomel functions, which to the best of our knowledge seems to have been unnoticed before. So I will talk more about these Lomel functions, but these Lomel functions arise in the theory of differential equations. So this connection is important because it is giving you a connection between two special functions which are coming from two different branches of mathematics. One is coming from analytic number theory, and one is coming from differential equations. Although there are many proofs of Hurwitz's formula in the literature, but no proof reveals this connection and makes use of Hermite's integral. Okay, so before going in the proof details of the proof of our result, let me give you some existing proofs from the literature. So Hurwitz himself obtained this Hurwitz's formula by transforming the Mellin transform representation for Hurwitz-Zeta function as a loop integral, and he then evaluates that loop integral. And this proof can be found out in this book. And later, Model also given one proof by using the Poisson summation formula. And in 1972, Bund found a short proof of this formula, Hurwitz's formula, by using the boundedly convergent Fourier series for this function. Okay, and later Kanemitsu et al. Also found one proof of Hurwitz's formula. Their proofs makes use of this formula, which contains the incomplete gamma function in the series, and then they invoke Fourier series of Dirac delta function. So these are some existing proofs in the literature of Hurwitz's formula. So now let me talk about Lomel functions. What are these Lomel functions? So as we know that Bessel functions are the solutions of Bessel differential equations. And this Bessel differential equation is nothing but the second order homogeneous differential equation, right? And Lomel functions are the solutions of an inhomogeneous form of Bessel differential equation. You can see this is the inhomogeneous part in this Bessel differential equation. So to define Lomel functions, let me give you one definition of generalized hypergeometric functions. So they denoted by this EFQ function, and they defined by this infinite series. You can see that P number of parameters will be coming in the numerator, and these Q number of parameters will be coming in the denominator. And this notation is nothing but the shifted factorials. Okay, so having this definition in mind, we can define a small Lomel function in terms of this 1f2 function, which is generalized hypergeometric function. And for new non-integral values, we can define capital Lomel function in terms of small Lomel function, and these are the Bessel functions. And for new integer values, this Lomel function can be defined in a similar way. Okay, so these are the definitions of Lomel functions. So now in our paper, we proved this lemma, which is saying that you have this integral evaluation in terms of the Lomel functions, and it is valid for every k and natural number and a is greater than 0. So now let me give you some applications of these Lomel functions in the mathematics. So also outside of mathematics, Lomel functions have been found to be very useful in physics as well as in mathematical physics. In mathematics, Lewis studied a special case of Lomel function by defining a new function CSZ, and you can see this is the special case of Lomel function, and he represented it in terms of the incomplete gamma function for his studies. And later, Lewis and Jagier also used an infinite series involving this function CSZ in the study of mass waveforms. So these are for these two applications, we can see these two references. So moving forward, let me now give you some little proof of this lemma, which is not that straightforward, but can be proved using the Cauchy-Regge theorem. So this is the well-known inverse Mellin transform representation for exponential function. By this notation, we will be meaning this line integral in the complex plane. Okay. And for this range of Xi, we have this well-known result from the literature also. So if you use Parseval's identity for these two identities, we will be having our integral that we are wanting to evaluate in terms of this line integral. So our now goal is to evaluate this line integral, and we evaluate this integral by using Cauchy-Regge theorem. So we first evaluate this more general integral, right? Here you have 2 pi ik, but we first evaluate this integral with z and complex number. So what we do, we have now line of integral right now on this C, but now we shift this line of integral to another line integral on minus lambda. But while doing that, we are encountering poles of gamma function, gamma s plus xi and gamma 1 plus xi by 2. And these poles are coming at these points where m is running between these limits and n running from between these limits. To avoid the same double order pole in this contour, we are forcing that real part has to be between -1 and 0. So that means we will first prove our result for this range of S, and then we will extend it by analytic continuation. And first we will evaluate this integral also for this range of Z, and then later extend it to all Z in this related complex plane by analytic continuation. So residue and at these poles, at these simple poles can be calculated to these expressions. And one thing can be shown that if you take t tends to infinity along these horizontal lines, you can see that integral along these horizontal lines goes to 0 by using Stirling formula. So by using that fact and Cauchy-Regge theorem, this line integral can be evaluated to this expression. And one thing also can be proved here, that if you take lambda tends to infinity, this integral will also go to 0 by using some Stirling formula and some calculation. So that means we have this ISZ is now in terms of this infinite series, because we are taking lambda tends to infinity. So we have now infinite sum. And it can be observed that this infinite series are analytic function in this slitted complex plane. And this line integral can also be shown to be analytic in this range. So by analytic continuation, we can say that this identity holds for all Z in this region. So now we can take z equal to 2 pi ik in this, because our z can be anything in this plane. So upon taking z equal to 2 pi ik in that expression, we are finding out these two infinite series. And if you use the definition of normal function S, you will be observe that these two infinite series are nothing but the special case of normal function. And we have proved our result between -1 and 0, right? So, but it can be shown by some little work that this integral is an entire function of S, and it is well known also that this normal function also analytic for all S. So this, therefore this results, our result holds for all S belongs to C. So this proves our lemma. So now I will go to the proof of Hurwitz's formula. So as we discussed, this is the Hermite's integral for the Hurwitz's formula, right? So what we do now, we represent this term 1 upon exponential 2 pi x minus 1 in terms of an infinite series. That infinite series is nothing but k running from 1 to infinity exponential minus 2 pi kx. Okay, so that means now after representing this term by this infinite series, we interchange the order of summation and integration. That can be justified. And we have proved that this integral is nothing but the Lorentz function. So this is the connection between Hurwitz function and Lorentz function, that the infinite series containing these Lorentz functions are actually evaluating to the Hurwitz function. Okay, and if you now use the definition of this Lorentz function, you will be observing that you are getting the same terms as we have in the Hurwitz's formula, right? These are the exactly same terms as we have in the Hurwitz's formula. That means we will be done with the proof of Hurwitz's formula if we can show that the evaluation of this infinite series cancel out these first two terms. And that can be done by using a recent result of Maserwitz. She gave the following evaluation of this infinite series. And if you now specialize the parameters here, you can see that we are getting the evaluation in terms of these two terms with a minus sign. And while doing it, we are getting two restrictions on our parameter. S has to be less than 0 and A has to be between 0 and 1. Restriction on A is coming from this fact that we are taking x equal to 2 pi A, right? And here x has to be between 0 to 2 pi. That means A equal to 1 case, we have to deal separately. And if you substitute this expression in our main expression, then you will be seeing that for S less than 0 and A between 0 and 1, we have proved the Hurwitz's formula. But now you can see that these two series, infinite series, are convergent for real part of S less than 0 and also defines an analytic function. And left hand side is also an analytic function for real part of S less than 0. That by analytic continuation, this identity holds for real part of S less than 0. So for A equal to 1 case, what we do, this up to this step, this process was valid for A greater than 0. So we can take A equal to 1 here. That means this left hand side will be reducing to Riemann zeta function. That means now we have to prove the functional equation of Riemann zeta function by our approach. Okay, and if you take A equal to 1 in this expression, you will be saying that now we have to prove that this infinite series cancelling out these two terms. And Maserwitz also given one more result, which is valid actually for x equal to 2 pi also. Okay, so even though we can take x equal to 2 pi in this formula, but note that m has to be a natural number. But to evaluate our series using this formula, we would require m equal to 0. So what we do now, we translate this series to a new series by using this recurrence relation for Lorentz functions, using this relation to evaluate another series. So we have translated our original series to a new series. And now this new series can be evaluated by using Maserwitz result by taking m equal to 1 and x equal to 2 pi and m equal to minus s minus 1. So that means we have this evaluation for s less than minus 1. And if you now substitute these all values and do some calculation, you will be seeing that for s less than 1 minus 1, we have proved that formula for Hurwitz zeta function. So this is the functional equation for Riemann zeta function, and we have proved it for s less than minus 1. But now observe one thing, that both sides are analytic for all complex s's, because pole at s equal to 1 of Riemann zeta function can be compensated by the pole of gamma function 1 minus s at s equal to 1. So by using analytic continuation, we can say that this identity holds for all complex numbers. So we have proved the Hurwitz's formula for real part of s less than 0 and a between 0 and less than equal to 1. So I will stop here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rahul.
Yes, thank you, sir.